Hey healers, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna just get right into it. I'm clearing out my throat chakra. So the topic for this video is humanizing the guru, and there's a lot of things that I want to talk about in this video that I'm not really sure how to say. So I'm finding the language as I'm talking it through. And I am about to pack this bowl. So if you smoking, light it up. If you want to get high with me, that might help. That might help. Humanizing the guru. All right, y'all. So this is a crazy thing that when people look at you as a guru, they don't see you. They only see what you represent to them. And this is true for anybody that you place on a pedestal. Anyone that gets placed on a pedestal is not a human to the people that place them on the pedestal. So that's why we're talking about humanizing the guru, humanizing the one that you place on the pedestal. And I was about to live stream this, but I really just didn't want any distractions. So here's the thing that it makes life a little complicated is that it's not what you think it's supposed to be. Like, you think that you see this person, they show up a certain way, that means that they're that way. Or that you experience them in a certain way, and that means that your experience of them is true. And it's really what this person is. When you're reflecting them to them, when you're perceiving them, your experience of them is not necessarily anything remotely close to who they actually are. So what's happening right now, I've recalibrated all the energy centers in my body. It's kind of crazy. So I've been doing energy work my whole life, but professionally being trained in it and calling myself doing it only for the past 8 years. But in those 8 years, I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of industry trends in the spiritual healing arts. So I'm a spiritual healing arts professional. I'm a guide. I help people work in the spiritual healing arts, specifically sex workers, specifically a movement. I created a movement specifically for sex workers to get into the holistic healing arts. And I advise people to do this because your natural skills that make you so good at sex work is natural skills that'll make you so good at spiritual work, because it's the same thing. Spirituality is sexuality. It's creative energy. Okay, so because I put that out there and I uplift that as a platform, that means that people will make all types of assumptions about me. And one of the assumptions that they tend to make, basically that I don't have any sexual hangups, or I don't have any shame in claiming who I am and my experiences and all that. And that's not true. I have a lot of shame in that. I have a lot of difficulty with that. The things that I work on, they're deep in my life. So I help people that are survivors of sexual abuse because I've experienced sexual abuse. I help people go from an unfulfilling experience in the adult entertainment industry. Everybody's not supposed to be in the adult industry. Just because you're sexy and fine doesn't mean that you're supposed to be there. It's hard for people to embrace this because they're thinking with their survival mind of I need to get money and this is my work, or this is the best way to get money. Even it's crazy how it's definitely easy to see that there's mind control at play when people will be addicted to the industry and not even be doing well in it. It will be at a hardship and at a detriment to them, but they'll still stay thinking that it's going to get better. When all the signs are saying it's time for you to move on. But it's probably hard for a lot of people to hear a bitch like me say that, because They ain't trying to hear that. They ain't trying to hear that. But this is my professional work. This is the space that I hold, and I've been holding this space for a while, so I'm good at it. And what I've experienced in moments of rapid growth, in having my Instagram deleted, in having like a bunch of people that wanted to be around me just for the perks, experiencing them all disappear once I like had enough basically and didn't want to like overextend myself the way that I had before. But the thing about overextending yourself is that nobody knows that you're doing it unless they like are very perceptive, or unless they know you. Most people are not going to stop you from overgiving, and especially when you're a guru or you're somebody that people put on a pedestal that they look up to, they think that you're good. They think you have all your needs met. And so you must obviously be giving from overflow. But the crazy thing is that, like, that's not why people overgive. People don't usually overgive because they're giving from overflow. They usually overgive because they're giving from a deficit, and they think that that's what they have to do in order to receive. So this is one of the things that when you're moving into the new earth and you're moving into an elevated frequency, the curse of prostitution can't come with you. It can't come with you because it doesn't allow you just to receive. It makes you have to trade something for receiving. You're not allowed to get something for nothing. Right? I know I look like a crackhead right now to some people. This is the best way to smoke, but so part of what's funny about it embracing yourself as a guru, you've got to embrace space for imperfection and vices. Okay, the most gifted and talented spiritual guides all over the world are doing all kinds of drugs, smoking and drinking, eating junk food. Okay, they're not like vegan and drug free. I promise you they're not. But in the West, in the United States, there's this like association of like, it's like puritanical values and culture. So there's association. I wanted my cleavage to be in this. Dang it. All right. That's better. So there's an association with puritanical values with spirituality. So people think that if you preach spirituality or you are a spiritual guide, you must be vegan or healthy some type of way. Basically what I've experienced is people projecting onto me how I would feel about certain things, and they don't know me, so it's entirely a projection. Or even if they do know me, they don't know me that well. Like, people have told me before, like, you know, that like I think about you and I'm making good decisions that I know you would approve of, and I'm like, it's so sweet that it's so sweet. I do approve of you making good decisions, but like, you're not gonna disappoint me if you get drunk and do something stupid either. I don't care, because not that I don't care about you, but I don't care what you do. But I love that like people think of me like that, but what I hate is when people think of me like they're not doing good enough. Like, oh, you know, I know you would think that I should be doing this better, or I should be fasting, or like someone told me that, like about they something about that, like that I would think that they should be fasting, and I'm like, actually I don't feel that way. But it's a perspective applied to me. And also, I've been doing this for years. I have no idea what I said before. I have no idea what all I said. I probably did. I know I did preach fasting and I did speak on fasting. I did try to show up and be all perfect. And, you know, I did ascribe to a lot of puritanical values of spirituality. Like, I've gone through a journey of growth because I'm a human. And what I was not anticipating when I created these avatars for myself to work through, because what I did with my spiritual work is I created avatars that were not me, but they're based on me. They're like basically holograms that can flow energy through to receive cosmic energy and channel it into the collective. I feel like I'm doing the like spiritual word salad right now, but like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, but basically, like I knew that I was someone to protect and that I wanted to do this work and I wanted a caricature to represent that what I was doing. So that's basically an alter ego that you create, but I kind of lost myself in there in between the spiritual possession and the social media mind fuck and the codependent upbringing and, you know, the like low-key autism and all the things that I've been kind of like wrapping my brain around about myself and the multitudes and the layers of myself. Like I almost lost myself, and I almost lost myself so many times. And the experiences that I have getting myself back is what I can come on here and share with you. Like I am qualified as an expert because of all the times I've fought for myself. I've lost myself. I've got myself back. Lost sight of her completely. God, the shit is crazy. And I don't have to like earn this. Okay, and that's the thing that fucked me up is I don't have to earn this. I don't have to be credentialed. I don't have to be good enough. I don't have to be approved. I don't have to be liked for me to do what's in the realm of my purpose and my destiny. And part of that is this. This is not the only part of my life and my purpose and my destiny. It's just the majority of what I've focused on for the past few years, especially coming out of survival mode. Survival mode has nothing to do with the amount of money you have, by the way. It's your attitude. And your perspective on yourself and your life and your surroundings. So people could be millionaires and still live in survival mode. So, but not me. I was broke as shit and I was in survival mode. And I will not be in survival mode. I'm not anymore, and I will not be. Like, I'm breaking this generational curse. So, yeah, I was, like, focused on my business only because this is how I make my money. So, I've broken down so many different, like, walls in between different areas of consciousness within myself. It's so in-depth. It's, like, nothing that I could say could really explain my experience or how I perceive of things. But what I've learned, that's why I like to do these videos where I come in here and have long conversations with you guys. Because what I've learned is like how to use these energies that we have, these divergent different energies within us, and to alchemize them and to use them powerfully for our benefit. And I almost got lost in the sauce because what's crazy is like you can develop there's such a thing as a spiritual ego, and you can develop a spiritual ego, especially when you're really good at what you do and you have like repeated success. It's very easy to lose sight of what you're doing and why. And then, so one of the things that people fear with spiritual work is they fear that like they're working with somebody that's going to hurt them, like that's hurting them currently or that will hurt them in the future. People are very fearful when it comes to spiritually based magical punishments of other people and like bad energy getting sent. So this is it's crazy because the people that are not like into that world don't care about stuff like that. They're like, and then as a result, it does not work on them as well. they find other ways to navigate it. So what we're dealing with like a lot of high level like we're dealing with a lot of high level magicians in our midst. Somebody doesn't want me to talk about something right now. And what we have to understand about ourselves is that we carry a lot of magic within us, and a lot of us don't know what it is. And that's because it's a secret. It's been hidden for a long time. So there's certain things that you will only unlock when you go through a certain series of movements or series of experiences. Then you'll unlock that. You'll unlock those gifts. You'll unlock that lesson. You'll unlock those teachings. And you will be more skilled than you were before. And this is going to be a never-ending phase, like a never-ending cycle. But if you don't let yourself go through the whole cycle, then you'll never get through it, and you'll never go on to the next cycle. So I've been in a massive death and rebirth cycle that's lasted like 2 years. Because I threw a party, the Heaven on Earth party, shadow work party, in 2021, and that was my shadow work. And what my shadow work was that came up was like, I'm a total control freak. And so I need a lot of help in life and in business, but it's hard for me to accept it because I want to control everything, and I can't even help but to do that. And like, I realized that it was getting me nowhere. And I also realized that I was like so focused on everyone else and not myself. And it kept on putting me in a fucked up position. But I didn't realize what was happening because I was raised to do that. So then I had a huge fight with my mom, which we still haven't really come back from. It's gotten worse and worse. And a lot of it is like, you know, I think like we talk a lot about accountability and like holding people accountable. But there's a limit to the ability that people have to actually be accountable, because their perception of this situation is not the same as yours. So, and then like, even the people that like, forget accountability from people that don't care about you. That's not gonna happen. But even the people that do really care about you, they still might not be able to be accountable to you. And that's hard to reconcile. That like, how could somebody really care about me but they can't say sorry, or they can't like see how what they did affected me, or they're trying to constantly keep me from like speaking on what I've experienced. They can't help it. And a lot of it is programming, because they're trying to hide secrets. This is why I always go back to this this piece of info that in the early 90s, a lot of young people and children that were in therapy were going through hypnosis with their therapists, and they were remembering being molested, and they were remembering who did it, and they were going to trial. And then they there was this political action committee developed to stop it, and it was a secret who created the political action committee, but it was found out that it was the parents of the children. So why wouldn't the parents of the children want, like, they sued the therapist, and they had to declare that it was malpractice and that it wasn't true, and they weren't really, you know, that they discredited their findings. But the thing about that is, it's just like this upside down world to try to obfuscate this information, because the thing about that is that that's the only way to remember a lot of that information, is to be hypnotized, to go under hypnosis. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to remember that information. it's locked away in a room, because a lot of times when these people are doing these things, they're hypnotizing you before they do it. And even when it comes to parents and people in the family molesting children, they can also be doing sex rituals and cult rituals. So yes, like I've said before, we're dealing with high level magicians in our midst that we don't even know about. So because like a lot of the people that so-called claim that spirituality is not real, or they don't believe in it, or they don't put much stock in it, they're carrying out rites, magical rites, all the time without knowing that, because they know how to navigate the world. And so a lot of times it will just seem like personal preferences. Like, you know, somebody might just feel like, oh, I just have a personal preference. I just like, you know, molesting kids, or I like seeing kids do this, or whatever. They think it's just their personal preference. If they're even that conscious of it, they think that's just their personal preference. They don't realize that it's actually a sacred, like, it's like a, you know, sacred, no, it's like a, I don't know the right word to call it, but it's a rite. It's a sex rite. It's a cult rite devoted to a certain deity. So they might not know who the deity is, or they might know. We're dealing with a range of consciousness around this, and this is the thing that's so hard for so many people to accept, because they want it to be easy. Like, this person is a bad person, this is a bad guy, and this is a good guy. But the most people that you would probably think are the nicest people, the really good people, you don't know what they've done or what they do. And the bad people, the mean people, the evil people, you don't know how innocent they could potentially be. Also, there's no such thing as objective innocence. And this is a lot of the work that I do, is to break that down. So as a guide, I'm always guiding you to question everything and trust no one, including me, because even I don't know what I have inside of me, because I can't know everything, because a lot of it is a secret. As I grow older, and as I grow more experienced, and as I continue to do my work, then I learn more. Okay, but majority of us don't know why we do the things that we do, or why we're led to what we're led to. And so that having that mindfulness and that clarity is the most important thing you can do for yourself, because otherwise you could potentially just be like being led astray by someone or something else's agenda. But the best thing is to have grace and compassion while you figure it out. And if other people don't have that for you, at least you can have it for yourself. Because this was my thing. So we really gonna get into it. Now we really, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started, y'all. I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. I'm glad that I'm doing this by myself, not live, because I really I feel my flow. I feel it feels good. And I went live last night, you know, and I kind of just felt some funky ass energy, and sometimes I really don't feel like exposing myself to that shit. I used to love going live with you guys, but honestly I don't think I'm going to be doing that much anymore. So that's just a sidebar. Join my app if you want to make sure to be able to go live with me. Because that's just a sidebar. But now we're about to get into it. Humanizing the Guru, okay? Because in my lifetime as a spiritual guide, I have had actual takedown attempts. I've had people actually try to take me down so many times. I'm gonna preface this sharing with this. It comes with the territory, and for me, I could not easily handle it, because I was so sensitive, and my sense of safety was so dependent on being liked by other people. And as a woman and as a human, period, that it will hold you back. If you don't feel safe unless other people are pleased with you, you will basically be a lapdog your entire life, and you will never be able to prosper. And for a lot of the people that I work with, you do specifically come from bloodlines that have been bred to be the equivalent of a lapdog of a woman. You have been bred to be a pet for the aristocracy. And if you have sinus issues, that tells you everything. Just like pugs and all the dogs, every dog and cat that is bred that way has sinus issues. How come so many of us humans, we have the same sinus issues? What do you think? Because we were specifically bred for specific purposes, not just on Earth amongst the humans, but throughout all of space and time. So it ain't even like a question. It's like, do you come from a bloodline that has been bred to be a sex slave or not? Have your ancestors been generationally bred to be concubines or not? Or when did it start? Because for some of us, our bloodline originated. We have alien bloodlines that originated as concubines on Earth. And for others, they were made into concubines only a few generations ago. So when we're exploring concepts of sex work and sexual abuse and sex slavery, we're talking about the origins of humanity. So then you start getting into some information that you're not supposed to know, because it goes against what is commonly taught in propaganda of the death cult nation state. Oof, I'm cold. It's so cold in here. Hold on a sec, you guys. Oh, 1 sec. It's so cold. I'm so freezing. I'm gonna shut this door. Okay. Shut this too. Okay. Whoa. Alright. I'm situated. So let's talk about this. You start doing this ancestral healing for real. You start finding mysteries that you're not supposed to know. So when I've experienced different like takedowns that try to like knock me off my throne or like take me off my square, I see it as sabotage to try to stop me from discovering what I ultimately discovered. So, I'm gonna tell some stories. Alright, so when I first started, within the first year of me teaching my Reiki classes for sex workers, someone had joined my class. It was crazy. It was one of those times where you meet a person and you just instantly feel like, what is this feeling? Like something's not all the way right. I felt like this is a person that would cancel me. Like I really felt like this is a person that would cancel me, for not being like awoke enough in that arena. So I had been invited to speak about domestic violence at it was like a event for LGBTQ domestic violence awareness. So I was invited to speak there, and I talked about Hoes Are Healers, Heaven on Earth, and what I do. And then one of the organizers was like really interested, and that was the one who I was kind of like, this feels weird. But okay, cool. She was interested in taking my class. She ended up signing up for my class, and she invited a friend. So, she studied with me for a while. She invited another friend to study with me. And then we kept in touch, and we like talked a lot. We studied together. So I didn't see myself yet as the teacher and as the guru. Okay, so I was new. I just started. I had also become extremely isolated on my spiritual journey. So I was lacking connection. So now I understand it's different. Like, I understand my boundaries and my position and the pedestal that other people place me on better than I did then, okay? So I move differently now. But there's things that I've wanted throughout this whole process that I just had to learn, like, better ways of getting them. So, like, at that time, you know, I started a group chat, or I didn't start the group chat, but somebody started a group chat with all of us, which was, like, this girl and her two friends, or whatever pronouns these people use. I'm sorry, I don't know them. So we started a group chat. We would hang out. Okay. So yeah, like, so I still do that. I still might have a group chat with some of my students or some of my clients. I still might hang out with them. Okay. But I know better my boundaries, and I know better the esteem that they hold me in, and the position that they put me in their lives. And I know not to overgive and cross my own boundaries for buying acceptance and inclusion and being liked from other people, which I did not know that for the most of my life. I thought it was normal, and I think a lot of Arab people do. It's part of our culture. So there's a reason why a lot of Arab people stay to themselves, and I used to always think it was just because they were racist. But I've learned that there's very real, like, ancestral vendettas on us and bloodline curses that other people try to enforce on us, and you start to see the alliances, and when you start to have a lot of these different experiences with different ethnicities, because see, this is the thing, is like, if it wasn't for me having these experiences, I wouldn't understand the wisdom in the ways that a lot of people move. I would think that it was something bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with sticking with your own race. I'm just not going to do it. There's no way. That's not the world I live in. It's not the world I was born into. But I understand why other people do it. And one of the reasons why is because, like, you can't always know whether or not people see you as an enemy until you get to know them, or you are more perceptive and aware. And you know, it looks like they're bringing clients, and that's a good thing. But are they really bringing other people to have their back when they try to take you down? Okay, so now you guys can start to understand why I'm so paranoid. Like, I've been through some things that made me extremely paranoid and unable to trust people, and it's purely symptomatic of not being able to trust myself or the universe, because I like was too scared. I was looking for a comfort zone. So I was putting myself around people that looked up to me so that I could feel important, because it was too scary to develop other relationships, and then I was just too invested in my own work. Also, I always had this, like, codependency curse where, like, I would just latch on to people, and I didn't know that I was doing this. I thought it was normal, but I would just immediately latch on to people, like, oh, this is my friend, now we're friends, now we talk every day, now we hang out all the time, instead of, like, giving space for, like, organic connections to develop and to see, like, who I really vibe with. I would just be all up under anybody that I was getting close with in any capacity all the time. So I've learned not to do that. I've learned how to have my own space and my own interests, you know, and just take time to myself. Like, I learned that I love being alone. I'm not really an extrovert. I'm really an introvert. Like, I might be mixed with extrovert, but I'm really like to my time to myself. I just don't want to be isolated. So I was vulnerable to, being taken down as the guru, because I was isolated and I was accessible to these people. So what one of the things that what I've changed is that I have more space and more distance in between me and the people that come to me for help. But I still am part of this community, so I still, in order for it to be enjoyable for me and for me to feel happy and comfortable, like in my community that I've created with my clients and my students and the people that resonate with my work, I have to be able to kind of be off that pedestal a little bit, with understanding the respect that you guys give me, that I appreciate so much. It really changed my life. Like, it's been completely life-changing to experience this. And I think that's what I struggled with early on, is that, like, I let everybody have access to me. I chatted with everybody all the time. I talked to people all the time. And I used to think, like, one day you guys aren't going to have access to me like this. I'm not going to be able to do this. And I used to think that, like, I'm going to talk to everybody now while I can, because at a certain point I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. But I didn't think about, like, that I didn't need to do that then either. I didn't think about that I'm overgiving or that I didn't feel good enough. So I didn't feel good enough. So I felt like I had to overcompensate by always being there. And what happened in the summer of 2019 is that I was close with these students, because I moved to the city that they lived in and went to college in, and I moved in with one of them, and that was my roommate. Okay. So I now see I would never do something like that now, but at the time I had limited options. Like, I was trying to, like, make it out of Michigan to New Orleans. I had no money. Like, it's like, this is the thing, is my story, and the reason why I preach, like, financial growth so much is because I spent years of creating my business, having a great idea, having a beautiful brand, like, doing wonderful work, helping so many people, delivering amazing experiences with, like, very little support, just me, you know? And like, I never had enough money to scale it up, or to, like, get help, or to even put myself in a good position up until 2022. So from starting my business 2017, that's, like, the current incarnation. But the idea for it and how it started really started in, like, 2013, 2014. But 2017 is when I launched it. So I learned through this business to value myself more because of how much other people started valuing me for my soul. Like, not my ass, not my body, not my looks, not my money, not my caregiving, like, completely, like, complete caregiving. You know, I'm still caregiving you guys, but not to the detriment of myself. in a structured way, in a structured environment. And, like, I just have so much to give, and I love to do it. Like, I love to give to others, but I lost that love from so many people taking advantage of it. But it's not fair for me to hold other people to the same standards that I would hold people that took advantage of my kindness to, because you're not them, and that's not fair. And I feel like I've been showing up with this chip on my shoulder because of all these different experiences that I've had, but that's just hurting me, and it's hurting others that didn't have anything to do with that, and that's not fair. So I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I deeply apologize to anybody that I've hurt, and to anybody that just, like, wanted to connect with me and was like, why are you being like this? But to anybody that stepped to me wrong, bitch, fuck you. I don't care. I don't here. No, but y'all know what the deal is. People, because the thing is that people, when they know that that they can get you to doubt yourself, then they want to get in there and they want to do it, and they always find reasons why it's okay. So, like, I'm not gonna get into the whole story of everything that happened with this takedown attempt, but I will say that, like, what happened was, when I was really going through it and I didn't have the time and energy to be present with these people the way that I had been before, they ganged up on me and tried to, like, slander me as a professional, and try to discredit me. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense that they would do that, because everyone has to do that when they're trying to become the masters of their own destinies. They have to take down their teacher. It's just like a Greek tragedy of, like, a son killing his father to take his place. And it is that disgusting, because you're not supposed to do that. Like, you don't need to either. Because, like I was saying earlier in this video, a lot of people come into spiritual healing arts with a lot of fear around this person that they placed on a pedestal. Like, they're like, okay, I know this person is powerful, that's why I want to work with them. But then they're afraid that that person's gonna use their power against them, especially if they do something that they perceive as that person being displeased with. But I'm not saying that stuff like that never happens. I'm sure it does, because, like, I'm not putting nothing past nobody. But a lot of times it's not happening like that. Like, whatever people think, like, oh, this person hexed me, or they sent bad energy to me because I stopped working with them, or something like that, usually it's not. I mean, I'm not saying, the thing is, like, I advocate everybody trusting their intuition to the fullest, but there's a lot of things that will make your intuition foggy and keep you from the truth. And it's the whole demon world, the demonic world, the unseen world, the world of entities. So they're going to express themselves however they need to express themselves. And one of the easiest ways to discredit a spiritual practitioner is to say that they have that they are a dangerous practitioner, that they have unsafe practices, that they don't use good spiritual hygiene. Like, these are things that it's like anyone can say these things about anybody, and you have to look at the source of why this person would want to say that about the other person, and why this other person would place themselves, like, on a pedestal like that in comparison to that other person. So the puritanical perspective that a lot of people approach the spiritual healing arts with is not realistic. I promise you not, like, look all over the world for spiritual guides and spiritual practitioners. They're not squeaky clean. None of them are. That's very rare. Because the type of person that you have to be to constantly be in this world without losing your mind, it's a rare breed. It's a really rare breed. I work with people that are like this. I train gifted healers that can hold space for other people. And the process you have to go through within yourself of self-alchemy. Everybody's got varying levels of toxicity. So it depends on how toxic you are, like how much alchemy you need to alchemize that evil eye and that inner bitch, that inner jealousy. Because, like, what will happen is, like, okay, a person will, for example, let's just say this hypothetically, like, you have a person who like is a student, comes to you, studies with you, They're really inspired by you and excited about you, but they're also really triggered by you and very jealous of you because you have what they want. So add into the mix, they come from a bloodline that is historically at war with your bloodline. Okay, so add into the mix, like they have all this unconscious trauma that they're completely blind to, and it exists as a shadow projection that they project outwards into the world around them. So the guru does not belong in that environment with that person when the guru is vulnerable. Okay? The guru does not belong in that environment with that person when the guru is vulnerable. No. Because that is a perfect opportunity for that person to siphon, steal, and ruin that guru's essence in that moment in whatever ways they can. And one of the problems with being self-aware and being a person that wants to have a positive impact on other people is that you might believe other people if they say that you're harmful or that you're harming them or whatever, and you're not doing nothing to them. But what happens is when you've experienced abuse and you've experienced being assaulted or having bad things happen to you that were outside of your control completely, it makes you grow into a person that wants to make sure that you'll never do that to anybody. And so if somebody comes to you and they're like, you hurt me, then you're going to be like, oh my God, no. What did I do? How can I fix it? And it's important to, like, have objectivity in that moment and just think, well, what about me? Am I okay? Like, am I hurt? Have I been hurt here? Because when you are a guru and you are a person that people put on a pedestal, they don't think that they're capable of hurting you. They can only feel you capable of hurting them. It's just like a parent-child relationship. They're not going to see their hurt. And you have a responsibility to not let their hurt get to you. And you rarely will be able to be in a vulnerable space, a really vulnerable space. I feel like this is what I've chased throughout my career doing this, is vulnerability and being able to be safe vulnerably in a situation with, like, just as much as I can hold the space for you and heal you, you can hold the space for me and heal me too. And that's always been the essence of what's behind Heaven on Earth Reiki and Heaven on Earth Reiki Mothers. You're a Reiki mother because you can hold space for me just as well as I can hold space for you. It's not about me just being the one that holds all the space for everybody all the time. What about when I need to be held? And it, for me, because I didn't have much of, like, I don't want to get you guys to get the wrong impression. Like, I've known so many people in my life, but I just pulled back from a lot of things. I deleted my Facebooks. I've, like, unfollowed everybody on socials many times. Like, I've retreated into my own solitude many times to just focus on me and to be able to purge out all the external noise and not pay attention to it, just so I could focus on me. So I have not been surrounded by people. Like, it's been a while since I've been surrounded by friends and, like, you know, had a social life. I don't really have much of a social life. And why was this random man that I saw earlier, like, trying to rub it in my face? Like, he was like, I see you here walking the dog. Why don't you do nothing? Don't you ever go to the movies or out, have a drink, and I was just like, what? I gotta go. Why are you asking me this? Like, first of all, you better not be trying to hit on me. But this is a thing that is like crazy about the world that we live in, is that like a lot of the identities that we come up with for ourselves are ways of like basically making it so that we can easily reject people that are trying to have sex with us. Like, oh, like I'm a lesbian, or I'm a sex worker. Okay, so in case of being a lesbian, you just shut down the conversation. You're like, no, I don't have to deal with this. In the case of being a sex worker, you assign a monetary value to it, and then you can make a financial exchange and actually benefit your wealth from the experience, instead of just like doing something you don't want to do, or you know, like, yeah, or just not doing it and not making money. So we don't look at this stuff like this. This is the ways, it's like basically our shortcuts of setting boundaries, when the boundary should just be like, I don't want whatever you're offering. I don't want, and I don't need a reason. I don't need a reason. I just don't want it. I don't have to have an excuse. Okay. So that's tea. But this is like, these things matter. Like, if I go from creating a holistic healing system that centers LGBTQ sex workers of color, and then I come out a couple years later and I'm just like, actually, fuck the whole concept of being LGBTQ, and fuck the whole concept of being a person of color also. And like, I don't care how it sounds. I have to say it however it comes out, because that is my prerogative, and there's no way that I could like plan it out to be sensitive enough for those that are committed to misunderstanding me. Meanwhile, those that are committed to understanding me and that are really here for the message and not here just to try to tear me down and pretend like they give a fuck, can actually get through it and hear it. So I don't want to get all intense about it, but people will act like they're coming from a place of concern, and they're not. And this is the oldest trick in the book. So that was another takedown attempt, was like, oh, I'm concerned that you're being harmful and you don't know. And this is what they always say, like, you're being harmful and you don't know. How? You're being harmful and you don't know either. So what the fuck? I think the level to which I understand how harmful I could actually be, and the depths and the ends that I go to control that and keep myself from being that way, are extreme. But people that don't even have to do that don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is why I know, like, a lot of my work will work so easily for so many of you guys, because you're not dealing with the same soul blueprint that I'm dealing with. The soul blueprint that I incarnated here with is very intense. The things that I've experienced, you would not expect me to be able to live a normal life, because of the things that I've experienced. And for the consciousness that I have around it, and the clarity that I can see into it, you wouldn't expect for me to be able to live a normal life. So if I have to have a problematic moments, or moments in which I said something that offended somebody else, I'm fine with that, because I am literally getting my brain back. I'm getting my soul back. I'm getting myself back from all these different twists and turns to try to steal me from me, in my family, in my schools, in the suicidal programming of my youth, of this genocidal colonialist nation state. Rape, death cult. What else can I say about it? Like, I've lost and gained myself back at every turn. And it's just like, there's all these, like, grenades that you could step on anywhere. Just waiting to blow everything that you've worked for apart. That's why I created Rue Lock. I created a place where we could create a stable foundation for ourselves so that it's not always going to get blown apart every second. And so that it actually has the strength to hold wealth and to hold influence. Because I didn't have that before. That's why I channeled Sarada Muladhara. That's why Sarada Muladhara came through. Sarada Muladhara was a name given to me by a teacher of mine. And I ended up having a falling out. I sound like such drama. It's so funny. I don't know why I tell you guys this stuff. But I ended up having a falling out with that teacher. So I'm going to talk more about my racial trauma, and these experiences will go into that. But one of the things that I noticed about that teacher was that she was really struggling with her influence, and she was struggling with holding it. And a lot of times you can tell when a person doesn't look at you as an expert, then they won't ever think that you know what the fuck is going on with them, or like that you can sort of see through. Now, there's a difference between just projecting versus looking at their actions and the things that they say and reading between the lines and having prior experience with things like this and knowing it. It's like, from my perspective as being a teacher, I could see and being a leader, I could see things that she was expressing and embodying that showed me that she was struggling with the influence. And I'm not judging anybody. I've struggled with it too. Anybody could look at what I've been going through and see that, but most people won't care. They'll be like, oh. And this is my whole point about the Reiki mothers. You're not a Reiki mother if you can't care. Like, if you can have somebody pour into you and invest in energy into you and show up for you and love you, and like, you would kind of like, yeah, like, you can't do the same for them. Like, that's weird. And I get that, you know, people are paying for a service, and that is like, if it's like you're going to receive a healing service, you're not going to give a healing service. But this is what makes what I do different than what a lot of other people are doing, is because it is very much co-created. It is very much co-created, but I'm the professional holding the space. But the energy that the other person brings to it is what makes it co-creation. Because they're healing places on me when I'm healing places on them. And so what I actually do with my Reiki Mother training is, like, I take people through all the different steps of it, from doing their self Reiki practice to taking them on an astral journey with me in all the places that I can go. And that could be ancient, that could be the galaxy, like, it could be any planet, it could be the inside of the earth. It's wherever your ancestors want to take you to, and these are ancient ancestors. And then I close the journey by showing you how I did it. Like, showing you how I grounded into my body while doing the astral journey and was able to deliver the message to you. It is the most comprehensive hands-on training that I have ever seen or heard of when it comes to spiritual mothering. Spiritual mothering. When people come to you for spiritual guidance, they are coming to you as children. They're not adults, they're children. even if they're adults. They're coming to you as children. They're that vulnerable. When they work with you and you cleanse them, you heal them, you teach them, they're brand new. They're newborns. So that is a huge responsibility to take care of them. And one of the things that happens all the time with gurus and with teachers and with experts is that a lot of people get disillusioned by them. But what is happening when you get disillusioned by the guru, by the teacher, by the guide, it's because it's time for you to forge your own path or go follow someone else. And that is a really hard thing to hear for a lot of people, because they want that consistency and that longevity. Like, I've heard over and over from students that study different spiritual disciplines that, like, they got ghosted by their teacher. Like, they were working with a certain teacher and then they just never talked to them again. They could never reach them again. Why does that happen? Well, these spiritual traditions, they're full of secrets. So if they decide that you're not joining their house, they're not going to say nothing to you after that. Okay? Like, and you don't get to, there's nothing you can say to change it, because it's a message from God. The spiritual system that they worship or that they follow gave them a message from the deity that they worship that said, X out, cut communication. And just like when it comes to being a reader for others, why is it that sometimes you might get a reading and it turns out to be false, or there might be falsehoods within it? Well, look at who the reader is. Is this a person from a bloodline that you have an ancient vendetta with? Look at the personal bias of the person, okay? And then also look at what the message is, and look at, sometimes the message is for you to go against the message. That's the reading. That's the whole point of the reading. The reader gives you the wrong message so that you will have to figure it out for yourself. Okay? Everybody wants everything to be all easy and just handed to them, and it does not work like that. You don't get that. So this is part of me protecting my position as a spiritual guide and as a guru, is that, well, at the same time, I want to be humanized. I want to be one with the community. I want to be out here with people. I want to have fun too. I want to be friends too. But I can't. I'm different. I'm the guru. I'm the leader. I'm the spiritual guide. So I'm the one that has to make those awkward and uncomfortable calls and messages go through when it's time to part ways, or it's time for you to check yourself or to go a little deeper with yourself. I'm the one that says the thing that triggers you. And when I started getting away from people pleasing and just being like, you know what, if I'm gonna be considered problematic, I'm just gonna be considered problematic, because I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing, and I can't make it any better than it already is for you fucks that don't like it. But it's so crazy that this is why self-worth is the most important thing that you can work on when it comes to developing your brand, your business, yourself, period. Because your self-worth, having a strong self-worth will keep you out of a lot of situations like that, because you just will be too good for it and you'll know. But if you have a low self-worth, which most of us do, especially people that have survived childhood abuse and sexual abuse and partner abuse, if you have a low self-worth, you won't think that you're worth more, and you will think that other people are worth more than you, so you'll put them and what they think ahead of what you think. And it got so bad for me that I was engaging with somebody on a complete fake profile. They had no user pic. It was just a profile that they just made, and they were criticizing what I was doing, and I was really engaging with it. And you can tell that's a mental illness. That is not right. That's not right. Because why do I care about what anybody says, let alone a fucking random spam bot? I don't know who they are. Because I was looking for someone to make it okay. And I was looking for a way to just to make it okay. Like, what am I trying to say? Like, I feel like I was looking for a way out. Like, I was looking for an escape from my purpose. And so I was like, oh, if I didn't know that. I thought I was trying to refine it and make it better. But I was really giving up all my power in the situation. And it had grown out of my control completely. The whole brand had grown out of my control completely. And so, like, this was a time when I had created the Hozar Healers page. And this is another thing about me being a guru, is that, like, I had to deal with my own sexual shame and stigma, sex worker stigma of, like, oh, I mean, like, yeah, I did intentionally set out to create a holistic healing for hoes, but now it's so many more people paying attention, and I'm getting asked to go on TV shows, and I'm like, and I'm feeling like everybody is just a little too excited about this hoe shit when they are not really, really about it, and they don't come from that, but they're just watching, like, voyeuristically, and they want to try it out, and it just grossed me out, to be honest. And I felt like everybody was, like, too happy about the jokes, and, like, you know, I used to, like, post all these, like, jokes, and this was self-deprecating humor. Like, I started to see these things very differently. I just started to be like, no, I'm, like, wait a minute, you love to see me making jokes about myself while I post my naked body for you, and I just thought, no, I don't want to do this anymore. No, and I was like, I don't believe, I'm surrounded by all these people that want me to, like, glorify sex work, and, like, no, I don't believe in glorifying the adult entertainment industry. But if it's what you're doing, that it's totally, like, it's, my feelings about people in the industry is totally separate from my feelings about the industry as a whole. And when it comes to the curse of prostitution, everybody don't have that curse, okay? Everybody's doing different things. So somebody can be extremely successful in the industry. Naturally, that's their bag, that's their place, like, they're supposed to be there. They might not have that curse, or they might have the curse. They might be so cursed they don't give a fuck, and that's your prerogative as well. That's just as valid, actually. Like, it's just as valid to just say, you know what, this is my curse, and I'm gonna find a way to rock with it. And it's also valid to say, like, I want to break this curse, and you can do either one. Most people do not care about breaking curses that don't affect them. So they wouldn't, like, if it's not bothering them, then they wouldn't change it. But if it was gonna bother somebody in the future, they would just let them handle it then. So a big difference between a lot of people that are drawn to work with me is, like, that you kind of don't really feel like that. You feel like you're probably a different life form completely than most people. But we come from a specific sacred lineage. It's a Magdalene lineage, an Essene lineage. These are spiritual sects, communities that were nomadic. But they had home bases. They had places that they would go. They had places that they would stay. They could go a lot of different places. But they were, like, very peaceful, and they've been, like, driven to extinction. But we reincarnate. Every generation we reincarnate. So there's some people that in our soul group that have reincarnated, like, over and over and over to fight this fight. And, like, now the fight's over. The fight's already won. We're drifting extremely close to living a utopia on this planet. But it's really sad about all the bloodshed that accompanies that, and it will continue to. Because there's two timelines, and one is, like, total world domination. We have no civil liberties whatsoever. We're just all, like, manufactured slaves in a factory lifestyle, driving electric cars that are completely controlled, and we have no ability to like go off road. Having our thoughts be policed, being completely censored, versus like free speech, free thought, free life, free love. And the tension that we're holding between the two is the tension of that which lives in ourselves. Our desires to punish people, our desires to conform and to control. And we're having to alchemize all of this within ourselves as the outside world is going through this process too. And this is going to determine what we receive, is like how committed we are to dismantling slave programming from within ourselves. Because slave programming doesn't just enslave you, it causes you to enslave others. And a lot of people look at positions of authority positively as empowerment and upward mobility, but the trade-off that comes with in a lot of industries and a lot of places is that these hierarchies exist in order to manage human chattel. So anytime you're in a position of authority or in a hierarchy anywhere, you need to be able to ask yourself these questions and look at these things. How ethical am I being? And the most ethical person is not the one that knows how to say everything in a way that makes you comfortable. The most ethical person is the one who adheres to their ethics, even when it's embarrassing or they look stupid or weak or whatever, or they run the risk of discrediting themselves or looking bad to others. They don't have the perfect image. There's different levels of media exposure, and there's levels at which you have to speak in sound bites, and that's the only way to access those channels. And there's levels to which you can have a long conversation. This is what I specialize in, a long conversation that goes deep. And this form of communication is very much under attack. So I'm committed to utilizing this and utilizing my platforms as much as I have them. When people are placing the guru on a pedestal, they don't see the things that the guru struggles with. So when people are waiting for me to come out with more content, they don't see what I'm struggling with or why I'm not doing it. Because it is frustrating when I feel like I post something and it doesn't get seen. But I have to cultivate that trust in the universe and trust in myself that the right people will see it. But it does become very frustrating for so many different reasons that like any Palestinian person would understand. And I'm glad that everybody's like sort of paying attention to what's happening right now, but I don't really feel like it's changing anything. Because it's still like there's still a lot lacking in the way that a lot of you guys actually interact with like actual Palestinian people instead of interacting with us as a cause. And this is the crazy thing too about being a guru, a guide, a leader, a teacher, being someone that others place on a pedestal, is that like they'll like people will think that you don't need the support. Like you don't need the support too. They only think of you when they need support. It's just like, the joke about like the weed man being like, you only hit me up when you want weed.
It's like, yeah, like, I'm shopping with you. That's what you do. But I'm so much more than that. So that's a self-worth journey and a self-work journey. All right, y'all. I'm going to leave you with that. And make sure you drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know how this resonated. We'll keep the conversation going. Like, share, subscribe. Say mashallah. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And stay tuned. Peace. Ma salama.